What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Real Estate Cheat Code and the Tell Me More podcast. I have Vic Phillips with us from Get Big Inc. and Red One Realty, and I'm super excited because Vic, we don't really know each other, so I'm excited to have you on here and to learn your journey. We were just talking a little bit about a couple different things that you got going on within the real estate space. So, Vic, thanks so much for taking time out of your morning to jump on with me.
Absolutely.
So, Vic, we always start. I always believe that there's always something from our past that typically has a big influence in our career and in our real estate. So we always start with the very beginning. What was life like for you growing up?
Growing up, so I had two different sides of my life growing up. I started off in the Milo Grogan area. For those that are familiar with Columbus, very poor, very downtrodden area. Um, just crime, shootings, all kinds of stuff. Really crazy environment. And then by the time I was going into the summer of my uh, end of eighth grade year, before I got into ninth grade, my mom, eating ramen noodles and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, saved up enough money to get us out to the suburbs. And so the second half of my life, as I call it, or the second half of my childhood, as I call it, was in Grove City, Ohio, where
Okay.
it wasn't so rough. It was more of uh, at that point in time, it was more of a country atmosphere. Better schooling, didn't have to worry about gangs and all that other kind of stuff. Um, and so it really changed the trajectory of where my life was going, I feel like.
Did you grow up with any hobbies, interests, sports, anything along those lines?
Uh, Playing street football. I played soccer. Um, but other than dodging the streets, no.
Were you always an entrepreneur?
uh, I started off as an inventor. I was always inventing things. Um,
Okay.
because we were poor. And so what is it they say? Necessity is something like is the means to invention or something. I don't know how the saying goes,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
those who know what the saying is know what I'm talking about. But
Yeah.
when you don't have anything, you just have to start inventing things to make things happen. Like my first football was made out of carpet. um,
Oh,
we took a piece of carpet and cut it up and then sewed it together to make a football because we couldn't afford to go to the store to buy a football. Just
yeah.
a regular. I mean, you think like you couldn't afford to buy a football? Like, no, we couldn't afford to buy just a regular football from the store, and so we made
Yeah.
it out of carpet and just different things like having to share bath water when you were a kid. You start to think of things. I came up with an invention called a skimmer, and it was supposed to sit on top of the water and like skim all of the scum out of the
Yeah.
water so that it would be clean for the next person who got into the bathtub, and just different stuff like that. I didn't really get into entrepreneurship until I moved to Grove City, and I had much smarter people. I wouldn't say necessarily smarter people, but people who thought differently than what I was
Sure.
thinking. Um, Started to talk to me about different things, and I was like, well, it kind of changed my mind from invention to entrepreneurship and using the things that you had available in your environment to like make things go forward or your life go forward.
Sure. No, obviously environment matters, right? And even as adults, right, who you hang out with, your circle, even family, and all of that has an impact. Vic, what was your next steps after high school? Did you go to college? Did you jump into the career field? Kind of lead me up from high school to the decision of getting into real estate.
Yeah, so I went to some college. College wasn't for me, obviously. I was there for a year before I decided, this isn't my route. I knew very early on that I didn't want to work for anybody else, but I also knew that I had to work for other people. Um, I did when I was in college. I did go to a trade school, and I did get a certification in electric because I was really good with working with my hands and stuff. And so I did get an electric trade there. I came back. Me and my brother have a very unique story that's for another time. And we essentially had our own house at the time that I was um, 17. I was 16, he was 17, and then 17 to 18. We had this house that we just had parties in like all the time. I mean, imagine a 16 or 17-year-old kid in Grove City, 4-bedroom house, living it up, parties all over the place. And so when I came back from school, the whole party thing just started all over again. And I ended up, having kids at well, I guess it wasn't a young age. I was in my early, but I didn't have any kind of life set up for myself,
Sure.
didn't have any kind of plan or anything. Ended up, the woman that I had kids with ended up getting in trouble, going to jail, and so I ended up being a single dad just all of a sudden, and some very difficult. I ended up back in the spot that my mom had fought so hard to get us out of.
Hmm.
Poor all over again, no money, on welfare, and I was just like, "There's got to be a way, a different way." And so that's how I ended up in real estate. That was back in 2008 when
Okay.
the whole real estate crash thing was going on. And I got a really good tax return because, as a single parent with kids, that's actually, working, you get a really nice tax return back. I got like $8,000 that year or something like that. Paid $4,750 for my first duplex over on North Warren. Didn't have the money to fix it up, but me and the kids and my girlfriend at the time got in there and cleaned the place out, and ended up reselling it and making a profit, and then just kept it rolling from there.
So you got in, and at that time, um, were you thinking investments or were you thinking sales?
I think I was thinking, okay, I would like to have a place to live, you know,
Sure.
that is our own, that we could, possibly, it was a duplex, so we'd possibly live in one side and, rent out the other side and kind of help with the bills and things. Just not really any kind of real plan, just like I have to do something. Like something has to
Sure.
change. I can't do this welfare thing because I don't know how much you know about welfare, but it's BS. It's like a whole crazy system that doesn't really set you up for success. It sets you up for failure.
Mm,
And I just knew I didn't want to get stuck because anything that you're inside for too long, it tends to become a habit, and you tend to get stuck inside of it, and then you don't know
right.
get out of it. That's great if you're
Right.
stuck in a good thing, like if you got good habits and you're making money and all that kind of stuff. That's great to get stuck in that habit. But if you're in like a downtrodden, uh, I need help situation and you don't break out of it, then you end up getting stuck in it. And
Sh-
that's why you have people that have been on welfare for years and years and years. And this isn't me from the outside talking in. This is me from the inside
Right.
talking. So I recognized that. I recognized how I was getting sucked into that system, and I knew that I didn't want to be stuck there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So you bought the house, the duplex in '08.
yeah.
Um, how long did you guys stay there? And then, when you turned around and saw that you could, make a profit with selling it, kind of what were your next couple steps after that?
Well, we didn't stay there at all. We were broke. Like the idea was there. The idea was there.
Yeah.
Like because when you're young and you're not educated on certain things, you think, okay, I'm going to get this house and I'm going to stay in the half of it or whatever. But you really don't understand how much it costs to take a house from that condition, which it was burned on one side and all that kind of stuff. You don't really understand how much it takes, how much work it takes, and how much money it takes to
Yeah.
get from that point to the point where you can live. And so when we got in there, like I said, the check that I got was only $8,000, and I've already spent $4,750 on buying it.
Yeah.
And so the rest of the money went to cleaning it out, because it had a whole bunch of stuff in there and code violations on it or whatever. I went down to the code violation office and asked them, how do I get the code violations lifted off? And they, told you to put the boards on the outside, clean up the inside, all of the things that you had to do. And so I did
Right.
all of those things. And when I did all of those things, I was broke. I was out of money all over again. And so where do you go from here? So I
Right.
just ended up selling it to a guy named Robert Parman. I think it's what it was, ballpark.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, and I ended up making a few $1,000s on it, and that's when I realized, oh, you can make money here, right? But I still wasn't in a position where I could just go out and just be a baller or anything like that. So I still had to get real jobs. I still worked
Hmm.
um, jobs here and there until I landed in the car business. The car business is really what catapulted me to the position that I needed to be in to be able to get into the real estate world and to make real money and to make a real difference.
I'm curious, what's one thing you've learned from the car business that has translated into the real estate side of things?
Oh, the real estate business is the car business. It's just a
Yeah.
different product. I mean, so
Yeah.
everything that I learned in the car business translated over to like any car salespeople out there that want to come work with me, come see me because it's an easy transition. I'll hook you up.
No, I agree with you. I mean, like when I talk to like a lot of agents on our team came from the food industry, right? Bartenders and servers and all of it. It's the same thing, right? Like they have the people skills. Now I can teach you the real estate instead of selling, the chicken parmesan. Now you're selling a real estate, a house, right? So I'm right there with you. So 2008, when was the next time? And I know you play in both the investment space as well as helping people with buying and selling real estate, and you have both of those. When was the next time you kind of dove into the investment space, and what did that look like, and then when did you decide that it was time to kind of get into the sales side of things and really helping other people achieve their real estate goals through home ownership or selling their properties?
So I got into the car business in 2012. And by the time 2016 rolled around, I was completely burned out. I was really good at car sales, just because I had a lot of life experience by that time, because I've hit every hard knock that you could possibly hit. And so I had a lot of life experience and I had built up a really good customer base in the car business. And so I just took that customer base and I transferred it over to the
Hmm.
real estate business. And in that, I said, there are two, like my first flyer that went out to everybody, because when you first get into real estate, you have no clients, you have nothing. And so my first flyer that went out said, there are two major purchases that you make in your life. One is your car and the other one's your house. I've already sold you your car. So why not sell you your house too? And it worked. A lot of people were like,
Yeah.
what, right? And so they came over and they started buying real estate. So I got actually a really good start in the beginning, because I brought my client list over from the car business to real estate business. But in the real estate business, I realized one, I still had a passion for real estate investments. Like at this point in
Hmm.
time in real estate, when I got in, I was just helping people buy and sell their houses and things like that.
Sure.
It's a process, especially when you're working with buyers. You're going around to all the houses. There's a lot of time spent. Sometimes people go through 10 or 15 houses before they even find the one that they're interested in.
Right.
You're seeing all these opportunities out here as you're walking along. You're seeing, this boarded up house, that boarded up house, or this undervalued house. And you're like, why isn't anybody going after this? And I was actually doing that with my clients. I had the wrong idea about what a person wanted, when they're looking for the house they want to buy. Me, in my mind, I'm thinking, hey, we could buy this house over here. It's undervalued. Yeah, it needs a couple of things, a little bit of work, but look at the equity that you're going to have in it. And they're looking at me like, are you crazy? Like, I don't want to buy this house. I want to buy this house over here. And so, after going back and forth with customers that way for a little while, I said, you know what? I'm here for what you're looking for. But then I also felt like, I really wasn't helping anyone. And so, I started to move away from regular real estate and over to more helping people that were, maybe poor people, low credit, people that didn't qualify for normal loans. I found out about a program called NACA that would help
Hmm.
people, that didn't have good credit and wanted to buy a house still and everything. So I started working with those kind of programs and, helping the people to understand like what real estate really is. Real estate is supposed to be an asset. Real estate is really an investment tool for you. It's not something, in my opinion, it's not something that you're supposed to fall in love with. It's not a
Sure.
puppy. It's not a baby. It's here to advance your life and advance your finances, advance your wealth. And so, working with people through NACA, I was able to help some people understand that and get along those lines as far as building wealth and things. And then I just from that continue to transition all the way into investments.
Yeah, you bring up a great point. We call them equity buyers versus emotional buyers.
Hmm.
The emotional buyer is the one that's going to walk in and love the granite countertops and the updated bathroom and overpay in today's market. And overpay is relative, right? In today's market,
Right,
doesn't mean overpaying in 10 years from now. But and then the equity. I'm more of your mindset, right? Like, I don't believe in forever homes.
yeah,
Every house is an investment, whether it's 5 years from now, 2 years from now, or 15 years from now.
right,
Are we buying the right property for what you're going to want to do next?
right,
Hey, I know you're thinking about buying this, but is this house going to be able to sell? When you move out in 7 years.
right.
Um,
I don't think people realize how many times they've paid for their house after they paid that 30-year mortgage. You go into a 30-year mortgage and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to have this house paid off in 30 years and it's going to be all mine, right? But no
yeah,
one's really looking at the numbers. How at the end of that 30-year mortgage, how much have you really paid for that
yeah,
$250,000 house that you just bought, right? And you're like, oh well, at the end of it, I sold it for $200,000, or I'm sorry, $400,000. But yeah, you've got $350,000 into it.
right,
Even though your price tag said $250,000 after you paid the mortgage and the fees and stuff over 30 years, guess what? You've paid $350,000. So you've made a gain of 50 grand. Congratulations. But if you would have bought the house right in the beginning, that equity or that payoff would have been much larger. Plus, there's some other tricks inside there where you can pay off your mortgage much faster. So you're not paying, there's a lot of things that are inside that people aren't looking at. And who am I to tell you, what you should be doing as far as how you buy your house and what you love and all that kind of stuff. But at the end
yeah,
of the day, I'm your best friend because I'm telling you the truth.
yeah. Yeah. I'm curious, when you got out of the car business to transition into real estate, this is a question that I always ask because, a lot of times, obviously, you were probably more in a commission-based industry before, but a lot of times people are leaving corporate America, or they're leaving a salary or a W-2 position where they have a set pay and jumping into 100% commission. And that world's completely different, right?
Yes. Yes.
When you decided to switch, because you said you had success in the car business, and hey, burnt out, I'm done with it, right? And I'm going to move over here. Did you have supporters? Did you have doubters? Who was in your corner? Who wasn't in your corner? When you made that decision.
Oh, 100% doubters. I make great money in the car business. They're they're like, "What are you doing? Are you insane? Like, you're like one of the top salespeople, in this industry, and you're making, mad dollars and things." And in my opinion, yes, I was making good money, but who was I helping? You know, I thought that I was making a difference in helping people. They used to call my desk compassion motors, by the way, because I would
Okay,
take care of the people who, had questionable credit and they couldn't necessarily buy the car. They had to go through secondary loans to get their cars and stuff like that. But I would help put the pieces together for them to be able to get their cars. But as those people were coming in and buying their cars and then coming back to me to buy a brand new car, I was thinking, like, the cars, as soon as you drive them off the lot, they lose value like
sure.
immediately. And so is this really, am I really helping them, or am I helping myself? And so I just thought, like, I would rather be in a position where I'm helping people more. I wanted to be in a more honest business. I felt like at the time I wanted to be in a more honest business. I wanted to be in a business where I was making more of a difference and helping people to build real wealth. And this probably goes all the way back to like the beginning of the story where I told you that the first half of my life was in a really rough,
Yeah,
area. And then my mom did everything that she could to get us out into the suburbs, which then changed my entire life. And so I was thinking, like, if I could do that for more people, then
yeah,
look at how much better their lives could be. Look at the difference that it could make. Look at, how their kids turn out now. And so
yeah,
it was a very big factor for me. I didn't have a whole lot of support, but I had savings. I saved while everybody else was going to the clubs and popping bottles and things like that with all the money that they were making from the car sales, buying BMWs, Mercedes, Lexuses. I had a little Honda that I drove. I worked for Honda, so I had a little Honda that I drove and um, saved my money, and I was able to transition into the real estate business a lot easier than what most other people would be able to.
Yeah, I wanted to highlight, part of the story that you shared about that transition was, and I think this is where a lot of agents overthink their SOI, right? Like everyone gets into the business, what's the one of the first things that you're told? Hey, create a list of people in your sphere of influence,
Hmm.
and you know, I think a lot of people just overthink that, right? They're like, I don't know, I only know like 5 people, 10 people, or whatever, and you walked in with your whole car list,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I and
1,500 customers, 1,500 customers, and I was like, how long does it take for a person to get a list of 1,500 customers? A long
yeah.
time.
But I think just that, right? Like, if you would have had the limiting belief of, oh, they're only gonna, they're not gonna use me to buy real estate. They only use me to, buy a car or whatever. Or they only see me as a car salesman and not really a real estate agent.
Right.
You wouldn't that transition would have been a lot harder. And I know a lot of agents struggle with it because I talked to them, and I just was talking with one yesterday, and I said, how many people are on your SOI list? She's like 800, and I'm like, there's people in there.
Yeah.
Go find them.
Yeah.
Go reach
Absolutely.
out.
Absolutely.
Go love on them.
And the thing, also a thing that I've realized about people who even come from sales over into real estate is that they have no confidence. Like wherever they were before, top salespeople, great at what they did, everything, right?
Yeah.
But they're coming into real estate and they have no confidence in their sales skills. And I'm like, there's you have not changed from the time that you went from selling cars or vacuums or whatever it is that you were selling. You have not changed from there to here. You're only selling a different product. You are still the same person. People are still going to like you just like they liked you over there. So just do the same thing with a different product.
I'm curious to get your input on that. What is one thing that you have them do to help build up that confidence?
Talk to people.
Or
We go out and we talk to, because in the process of me transitioning from regular real estate into um, investment real estate, my clients still needed to have people to help them, so I created a small team of real
Mhm.
estate agents to help all of my clients and things, or people that were wanting to buy real estate from me, and I would just pass those on to my team so that they could eat. But we would just go out to random places and I would say, okay, let's strike up a conversation, just pick out people, and just, I tried to teach them real estate in everyday life, right? So in everyday life, what do? We go out, we go to restaurants, we eat, we go to fast food chains. Some of us, I don't eat at fast food chains myself anymore, but people go to fast food chains and eat and stuff. And in every single one of those situations, what do you encounter? You encounter people, right?
Yeah.
And those are opportunities to have conversations with whoever. Take your business card. The person that's ringing you up at the restaurant, hand a card to them. They might not use the card themselves, but they're going to pass it on to somebody else, or they're going to talk
Right.
about it to their people. Like they might even be thinking that they're making fun of you. They're going to take your card, like, look at this joker gave me, like talking to all their coworkers or whatever. But their coworkers, there might be one of those coworkers who's actually looking to buy a house, and like, oh,
Yeah.
hey, let me see that card, or who is that person, or whatever.
Yeah.
So just striking conversations up with people. That's how this business works. People like to buy houses, especially from people that they like and that they can relate to. And if they see that you're just a normal person that has, and that's another thing I taught them, go out and try new things. Even if you've never golfed in your life, go out to a driving
Mm.
range and hit some golf balls, or go do something that's unconventional. Go fishing. Go do something. So
Yeah.
because the more things that you have experience in, the more things you can talk to people about, right? You
Yes.
might have somebody who loves fishing, and you could say, I went fishing once, I was horrible at it. Now they
Yeah.
want to share their fishing stories with you. Now they want to give you tips on how to be a better fisherman. Now you've just created rapport with that person.
Yeah.
And they think every single time I talk to this guy, I'm going to ask him how well he did with his fishing. Now you've created a client.
And, it's some of the small things too. Like, I grew up in Northeast Ohio, and I grew up south of Youngstown for the majority of my years, and then I went to my high school years was up on Lake Erie, east of Cleveland, and I'm in obviously in Columbus now, but anytime I see a 330 area code or a 440 area code, one of the first things I say is, well, where are you from? Because that
That's
was the two area codes that I had growing
yep.
up.
There you go.
Hey, and the thing about Northeast Ohio people is they'll always say, I'm from Northeast Ohio. Okay, well, what part, right? Is that Youngstown area? Is that Akron, Canton? Or is that what part of Cleveland you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they won't actually say the town name. They'll say Northeast Ohio. And that's small. That's just a small in when I see an area code that I'm familiar with.
That's right.
And that could be the 419 area code, the 740 area code. Like, I could come up with different things to relate to people, regarding that. I love that. I love that, going out and just trying different things because, I think sometimes, we like to overcomplicate some of those things in
Yeah.
sales,
Yeah.
especially when we're not confident. And it can just be the smallest little thing that you have that connection over that opens up the conversation.
Right. And we're not taught to be brave. There's not a course in school that says be brave. It's
Yeah.
all about safety. It's all about being careful. Think about it as you're coming up through grade school and stuff. They've got the scissors with the protections and all that kind of stuff. And anytime you try to do something that's unconventional, they're like, no, stop, that's going to hurt you. Your whole life, you're being taught to be safe. And so, to be brave is something that you have to step out into.
Yeah.
And that's the way to do it. Just start doing things that you're not good at, and as you become better, your confidence increases.
Yeah. I want to just dive into kind of struggles and successes
Mm,
over the years of being in the business, and obviously, you still have the real estate team, running, the residential side and traditional real estate, and then you have your team running the investment side. Do you have any? Did you guys just always hit the ground running and have success from day one? Did you guys encounter any struggles, getting into the career?
well, I think that my biggest struggle, personally, was being able to teach people what I knew, right?
Mm,
Because sometimes when you're really good at something, there's a lot of things that you leave out when you're trying to teach somebody else something because it's just
yeah.
natural to you. You do it every day, so you know it. And to break that all down, like for example, look at Michael Jordan, right? He tried to coach a team for a little bit. He was horrible at it. His team sucked. And you're
Yeah.
thinking, this is the greatest basketball player to ever live, but you suck as a coach. And that's just because like you're really good at doing it, but taking that and giving that to someone else is super, super difficult. And so
Yeah.
my team, I would have to say that my aside from my first teammate, who was the first guy that joined me as a team, he was able to just sit next to me and kind of absorb everything that I was doing and everything that I was saying. But beyond that, as we got larger and I was trying to teach people things, it was a real struggle. And my team struggled a lot. And I would go home feeling like I failed like all the time,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
because I felt like, well, I don't understand what's so hard about this. Like, look at all these things, look at all these possibilities, and I just couldn't get that. I couldn't get that message across.
Yeah. It's one of the things I believe in three things when it comes to coaching. I believe that everyone should have a coach or a mentor, right? That is already ahead. And I believe that they should probably be someone that has done it the way that you want to do it.
Hmm.
I don't think that always has to be the case, but if you want to go out and crush, investments and getting listings that way and things like that, like go find someone that's in that space already and ahead of you.
Right.
I don't think it has to be like this huge coach, at this level. It could be just someone that's a little bit further ahead of you, right? With that, I also believe that we all need peers, someone that's on the same journey. You're on the same path, right? To get you through those highs and get you through the lows, and I also believe what you just said, which is I believe that everyone can coach someone to get to where they're currently at. And what I've learned over the last 12 years of being in the business and bringing new agents into the business is that has probably been one of the biggest things that has helped me have success in the industry was doing what you just said. And it's hard because you have to simplify it and break it down and have someone understand it that doesn't understand.
Right.
Um, and it just made me become a better communicator. It made me become more dialed in with my systems and processes and the words I use. Um, And it also allowed me to become a better communicator with my clients
Yeah.
and simplify the home buying and selling process to them so that they feel comfortable and confident in the decisions that they're making.
Yeah.
So what you just said is one of the hardest things, but if you're out there and you are struggling, I would go and try to find someone that needs to get to where you're currently at and start breaking down your process of how you got there
Yeah.
because that's going to bring a lot of clarity to you.
Yeah. Um, yeah. And so what I did instead was I found someone. So I have a partner. His name is Mark D'Andrea. He's a doctor of real estate, and
Yeah.
we separated our teams to become the investment side, which is Get Big Inc., and the AMP side, which is the agent mentoring program, AMP, um, with the doctor of real estate. And so he is really good with systems and
Hmm.
getting people organized and really breaking things down. And that's what he's really good and really strong at. Whereas I'm really good and strong at finding opportunity in things and creating something big from something very small. And we call ourselves the yin and yang of each other. And
Yeah.
so now he handles the entire team as far as regular real estate and things, and I handle the team as far as investments and Get Big Inc.
Yeah. And that's a lot of it too for us agents. It's who do we need to
Yeah,
bring in to help us in these areas that maybe we are struggling with or weak in.
yeah, and that's one of the things that I think really affects people is that they don't want to admit that they need help. They don't want to admit that there's someone else that might be able to do something better than what they can do it. And me, the moment that I realized that I wasn't being successful in this, I went out and I found somebody who was.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've met anybody better at it than Mark D'Andrea at all.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Vic, I want to kind of move forward and look into the future of where you kind of want to take things. What's something that you're looking to accomplish in the next 12 months?
Uh, in the next 12 months, I would like. So it's really difficult because I feel like um, we don't believe in the get big rich or get rich quick schemes. We
Yeah.
don't do that. We want people to be rich. We want people to be wealthy, and those are two different things. We want people to be these things, but we want them to get there the right way so that it doesn't just evaporate. One day. You've seen it a million times where one day people will have hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of dollars, and then the next day you're like, "How did you spend all that money?
Yeah.
Where did it all
Yeah.
go?" Because they didn't understand it. They got it too quick, right? They didn't respect it. And so in the next 12 months, what I would like to do is have 12 more investors as a part of our program in Get Big Inc. that we can then, because I truly believe in the 6 degrees of separation. You know what that is, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I feel like if we can touch 12 people, then those 12 people will be able to have an outreach that's much wider than us.
Yeah.
And as that expands, it really starts to make a difference in your environment and in your community. And the more communities we touch, the better life's going to be here in Columbus, Ohio, especially.
Yeah. For those that don't know what that is, can you explain it?
Yeah, sister separation is a theory that everyone is only separated from anyone in the world by 6 people. So you know a person who knows a person who knows a person. So I could literally know enough people to reach the president because everyone's only separated by 6 people at the most.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so in that theory, if you teach someone something and then they teach the next person and those people are teaching other people, then eventually your teachings or your theories are
Yeah.
all around the world.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's awesome. It's one of the things that I picked up from I'm a big believer in learning from other industries and applying their principles and practices to real estate. And one thing I picked up from network marketing, and it makes total sense, but in network marketing, it's, I want to recruit you to come and join the company and use our product. And that would be a win. But what I truly want from you is I want your 100 people in your database,
Right.
right? And that's just what you just said, right? Like if I can help 12 people and each one of those 12 can go and help two more or three more, right? Now you just expanded your work. So, as a real estate agent, those that are listening in, yeah, we want to help our friends and family and coworkers, and yes, that would be a win. But what I truly want is their sphere of influence,
That's it.
right? I want their 10 to 20 people that they're the closest to. I call it on Facebook, it's like suggested friends. You're like friends of friends of friends,
Yeah,
It's like, that's who you really want. You want, and that's going to be the one thing that grows that database for you.
yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that you come across in real estate a lot is that everyone's a real estate agent. What do we got? Like 10,000 real estate agents here.
Yeah,
Some,
it's
some
still up there.
Yeah, some ridiculous number. And so, when you talk to people, they'll say, well, my aunt is a real estate agent, or my cousin's a real estate agent, or whatever. And you say, yeah, but are they a real estate agent? Like, are they doing
Yeah,
this day in and day out all day? Like, this is their career. This is what they know. This is what they live and breathe. Because if I'm looking at the largest asset that I'm ever going to purchase, I want somebody who's living and breathing it, not just
yeah,
somebody who works at five and dime all day and then they decide they're going to come home and try to sell me a house after work. No.
yeah, yeah. I'm there with you. Vic, what's something you're looking to accomplish over the next 5 years?
Over the next 5 years, I'd like to expand. I did live in Georgia for a little bit. That's where a lot of my family is from. So I'd like to expand down to Georgia and maybe down even into Jacksonville, just to create that East Coast line, that
Yeah,
allows us to work and just touch more and more people.
yeah, I love it. Um, what's a legacy goal for you? I probably know the answer based off of our conversation, but what's a goal that you want to hit when you're no longer here?
Well, I would like to be able to hand this over to the next generation, and I would like this to become just like second nature in people's lives. Like, there's always that thing, right? So when you think of, well, you might be from a different era than me, but if you think of hamburgers, what's the first thing you think of?
Burger King for
Or
me,
or
McDonald's.
McDonald's or something like
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah,
Because they've created something that allows them to be the go-to person of that
right,
industry, right?
right.
So when people think of real estate investing, I call it blue collar investing, blue collar real estate, because we're really for the common man. Really, that's what our
Yeah,
program is for. And when people think of retirement or think of wealth building and things like that, I want them to think of Get Big Inc. Like, that's who we go to. We're just normal people trying to build wealth for our families and pass that wealth along to the next generation. And we don't necessarily understand it, but we want to be involved
yeah,
in it. I would like us to be at a point where when you think of it, it's second nature to think of us.
yeah. I love that. I love that. Vic, I appreciate your time, this morning and sharing your journey. We always end with, this last question. And it's if you could give the audience one piece of advice that, maybe was similar to you, or maybe they're thinking about getting into business, or just one piece of advice that you always share if agents ask you. What would that be?
That would be, no matter where you are today and what you're doing today, if you continue just to put one foot in front of the other and make positive changes, then you will get to where you're looking to get to. I brought something in for us today. This is something that I take to every major meeting that I go to. And I don't know if you've ever seen one of those before, but
Uh-uh.
that's actually, let's see if you can get it. Yeah, you see that says Victor E. Phillips. That's my name. That's me. That's my welfare card. I never gave it up from back in the day. I
Mm,
kept it.
mm,
And whenever I have a major meeting or any kind of major situation that I'm dealing with, I carry this in my pocket to always remember where I was, where I started, from the beginning of my life all the way to the middle of my life, because I ended right back in that position.
yeah,
And to have that reminder to know where I am now compared to where I was, just simply by taking one foot in front of the other and making, good decisions, anybody can get there. So even if right now you're not doing so great in your real estate career, maybe you just left your full-time job, or maybe you're part-time real estate because you want to get out of your full-time job or whatever, just keep going, you know? Even if it's rough right now, keep going, keep making those decisions, keep putting that foot in front of the other. Find mentors, like you said, people who are in the places that you want to be, and don't be too proud to get next to those people, because they'll help you get there. If they're worth their salt, they'll help you get there.
Yeah.
Any successful person that I've ever met or know, they want to help people. They want to help you get to where they are. It's enough out here for everybody. We're not going to hold you down and try to steal your secrets or anything like that. Just make it happen for yourself, and
Yeah.
you'll get there.
That's so good. That's so good. And, my experience is most successful people had help getting them there to that point too. So that's why they give back.
Absolutely,
Right? That's why they
absolutely.
give back. So, those that are watching, Vic's phone number is down below. So if you guys are thinking about getting into the investing space or real estate space, or you guys are thinking that you want to buy and sell, make sure you send him a text, give him a call. But Vic, for those that are listening in on the audio version of this, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Well, we have a pretty decent presence. I feel like. I might be. Uh, I might be biased, but we do have a pretty decent presence on Instagram. So you could just go to Instagram, Get Big Inc. That's how you find us. Or you can give me a call, 614-674-0139. Or you could simply just come into Red One Realty and ask for Vic or Mark, D'Andrea, um, Get Big Team, AMP program, any of those things. They'll know exactly what you're talking about, because we're not quiet. We're very loud. So, yeah, we'd be happy to have you. We'd be happy to help you. We've got lots of things going on. Very transparent. We don't hide things. We don't try to hold you down. We want to see everybody succeed. So come see us.
I love it. Vic, thanks so much. I'm glad that we were able to do this. I'm glad that we, were able to connect. And like I said, not knowing you before we jumped on and hit record, you know, I, I just love, I love your journey. Thanks for being open and sharing. I think it's so important. And I told you, before we jumped on here, like my goal is to show agents that there's so many different ways and paths to finding success in this industry, and there's not one end all be all way. So I just want to say thank you again, and I'm glad that we were able to connect.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you had me on. This was a lot more exciting and informative than I thought. Sitting down and talking about yourself is not always the easiest thing, but I feel like you made it easy. So I appreciate that.
Well, awesome. If I can do anything for you, please reach out. I'm here to help you any way I can.
Absolutely. We need to get together for some lunch, man.
Yeah, we will. We will. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.